Okay, welcome back to the next part of the video. Go ahead and unpause the simulation. And in the last part, we brought the XR5 up from Mars over to Phobos. Now we're going to look for the fuel modules and the LOX modules on Phobos, and then we're going to land so we can pick them up.
Translation.
Now I did double check while the video, in between videos, and the fuel modules are located at what I said they were, which was 160 west and about 30 south. So let me get rotated into some direction that makes sense to me, which is going to be level with Phobos. Now we're level. Let's go with the heading of 0. Okay, now I want to get the vessel over to 160 while also moving it, I guess, north. So let's put in a little bit of translation in this direction. That should start moving us north. See the velocity vector coming around there. And you can see the number here taking away. Okay, so that's got us moving north. Now let's also put in some translation for going actually I've got to think, it's 160, but is it 160 east or west? Nevertheless, I'll put in some translation this way also. Actually, that's the wrong way.
Rotation.
Get rotated back to level position.
Translation.
Let me translate the other way. Okay, there we go.
Rotation.
I'm just going to bump forward time a little bit to try to speed this up so it doesn't take so long. I believe we're going to get to this coordinate first. Yeah, we're going to get to this one first. Okay, let me back off time warp. Rotate the vessel back to level. yaw back to the 0 position.
Translation. Rotation. Translation.
I'm going to eliminate the movement going forward.
Rotation. Translation.
Putting in a little bit of downward translation to keep the altitude from increasing. Now I'm going to warp time ahead a little bit. Try to get closer to that 160. Back to real time.
Rotation. Translation.
Eliminating a little bit more forward so that my number here stays roughly where it's at. Okay, now let's warp time ahead. Get closer to 160.
Rotation. Translation. Rotation. Translation. Rotation.
I don't know if you can actually see the fuel modules from this high up or not. Okay, let's rotate back to the 0 position.
Translation.
Now we need to translate a little bit the other way because this has actually gone past the 30. Okay.
Rotation. Translation. 2000. Rotation. Translation.
Now I'm eliminating the lateral movement. I'm concerned that I'm not in the right spot. I would think I would be able to see the fuel modules down there. me do this. Let me set that aside. Let me press Control. No, not Control, but rather F3. So this is where the modules are at. I'm not in the right spot. Okay. So they're 160 east and 30 north. So basically I'm over here, they're over here, so I need to go further north. Okay, I'm not very good with coordinates apparently. Alright, well, not a big deal. We're not too terribly far away. And we had to go this way anyway, so. Alright, more work to do.
Rotation.
Let's bring our map back up. Actually, I guess we've got double maps, so we don't need that. Actually, that's why I had this one open. Alright. We are learning.
Translation.
A little bit of translation to eliminate the descent. Get us back to 0. There we go. Now we need to push ourselves forward, so we need to go further north.
Rotation. Translation. And we need to go 160 east. So we're going to go basically around here, come out that side, and then we're going to, the modules are like up here somewhere. Rotation. Translation.
Okay, I've got in some movement.
Rotation.
So now we need warp time ahead. Kind of cool view there. It may look like we go through the mountain. That's just because of the way the mesh works. We're not actually going to crash. You can see here, according to the HUD, we're 1,900 meters above the surface, and this is accurate. So it may look like we're going to go right through the mesh, but that's just the way Orbiter does things. And we'll come out the other side here in a minute of the mesh. So we're at 7 degrees south and we're continuing to move north. That's what we want. And we're almost at 180 west, so we'll wrap around. Go back to real time and level things out.
Translation.
Let's push ourselves down a little bit. We're starting to gain altitude, and we don't really want that.
Rotation.
Pumping time forward. Looks like we came out the mesh on the other side there. And you can see it. I think this funny looking area here, I think that's just part of Phobos that hasn't been photographed, I believe. I think that's why those lines do that zigzaggy thing. Could be wrong, but I believe that's all it is. Okay, back to real time. Let's level ourselves out again. And interesting to note, we've been gone for 5 hours and about 36 minutes.
Translation.
Go ahead and translate down a little bit so we don't gain altitude. Okay, we are not too far away from 160 east. Go ahead and warp time ahead. So 160 east and about 30 north. Actually, looks like those are the modules right there.
Rotation.
Yeah. And you can even see Mars coming up over the horizon. Cool. So that's our target. That's where we need to land. We need to be within 50 meters roughly, although we can extend the grapple beyond that, but if we can, we'd like to land within 50 meters.
Translation.
Go ahead and start losing some altitude. Okay, now I'm going to use some reverse translation.
Rotation. Translation.
To slow down my northward movement, because we're almost as far north as we need to be.
2000. Rotation.
Go ahead and lower the landing gear now, just so I don't forget to do it.
Gear down. You are cleared to land. Gear down and locked. Translation. Rotation. Translation.
Slow down our descent a little bit so that we're not dropping quite so quickly.
1000. Rotation.
So we still need to push ourselves this way a bit.
Translation. 700. 600, 500, 400, 300, 200. Rotation, translation.
Bringing our descent down to near 0.
100.
And silly mesh. I wish it didn't do that. Kind of ruins the atmosphere a little bit.
Rotation, translation. $75.
Okay, we're really close. I believe we're probably within 50 meters now. Maybe.
Rotation, translation.
So we're going to start focusing on landing. I'm going to... I want to get all the way to 160 though.
$50.
Tapping a little bit of reverse translation so I don't go any further north.
$40.
I'm going to start slowing down the easterly movement.
$30. Rotation, $20. Translation, 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Turn on the AP so I can use the brakes.
2, 1. Wheels down. Rotation,
It's hard to get wheel stop on Phobos.
translation, rotation, translation. 2, 1. Wheels down. Information. APU running. Rotation. Translation. Wheels up. Rotation. Wheels down. Translation. Rotation.
Stop, darn it.
Translation. Rotation. Wheels up. Translation. Information. APU running. 2, 1. Wheels down.
So frustrating to try to get the wheels to stop. Because until you get wheels stop, it won't stay in place. It'll bounce all over. It'll bounce around like crazy.
Rotation. Wheels up. Translation. Wheels down.
Please stop, please stop.
Rotation. Wheels up. Information. APU running. Translation. Rotation. Translation. Rotation. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4.
The vessel is perfectly level.
3. 2. Information. APU running. Wheels down.
Okay, now stop.
Translation. Rotation. Translation. Rotation. Translation.
What does it take to get the wheels to stop on this thing? I don't understand. It's like totally random when it finally does get wheel stop. It's just like out of nowhere for no reason.
Wheels up. Rotation. Information. APU running.
Alright, I think I can actually just pick up the fuel modules anyway. Let me find out. That's just annoying as all get out. The vessel will flutter around a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I can still pick them up. Although I'm not within 50 meters, but I'm within 250 meters.
Translation. 2. 1. Wheels down. Rotation.
I give up. Okay, let's just start grappling these modules. Alright.
Information. APU fuel 90%.
So that's a fuel module. Let's put the locks in first. So that's locks. And as I put in that locks, you can see, well, actually,
Out of range. Out of range. Out of range.
well, I changed the range.
Information. APU running. Out of range. Wheels up. Translation. Rotation. Translation. Rotation. Down. Translation.
Guess you have to be within 50 meters after all. I thought if I changed the range here that it would let me pick them up, but my distance is 143 meters, so I'm slowly sliding across here.
Running. Rotation.
Just a couple meters off the ground. There's almost no gravity here. It's very little. It's not enough to really keep you on the ground.
Translation. Rotation. Translation. Rotation. Translation.
So now I'm within 100 meters. I wonder if it'll let me pick it up now. Not quite yet.
Rotation. Translation. Information. APU running. Rotation.
Just trying to slide the vessel in place here. We're basically hovering off the ground, although hovering is not really the right word. We're more like floating because there's no real gravity here to keep us on the ground. Okay, I'm within 50 meters. Now let me...
Information. APU running.
Didn't mean to rotate.
Translation.
So now let me get my meters per second down to 0. Okay. Now, my distance from the modules is 43, so I'm in range. Let me pick up the locks first. Makes sense for it to go in on the bottom.
Out of range.
What are you talking about, out of range?
Rotation. Translation. Information. APU running. No payload in grappling range.
Well, this is frustrating. I mean, brought the vessel all the way over here to pick these modules up, and now it's not letting me. Maybe it's because I'm not wheels down.
Rotation. Translation. Rotation.
I love Orbiter, but stuff like this really bothers me.
Translation. Wheel rotation.
Ah, I got wheel stop. Nice. See, it was totally random. Like, why did I get wheel stop? I didn't do anything. Anyway, let me see if I can pick the modules up now.
APU running. Payload latched in bay.
Now it lets me pick them up, so you've got to have wheel stop. Whatever. Okay, so now with that locks module picked up, you can see I've got 313 days worth of locks. Now, to get to Saturn, I don't remember how much time I needed. So before we turn that off to get rid of some noise. So before we load the vessel up, let's go through now and set up our plan for getting out to Mars so I know how much LOX I need to pick up, because I don't want to weigh the vessel down any more than I have to. Before I do that though, since I'm now landed on Phobos, I got wheel stop and everything, let me go ahead and end this part here, because that'll make for a good stopping point. And then I'll pick up in the next video where I'm actually going to set up transects for getting out to Saturn. And then that'll help me determine how much stuff I need to pick up here. If you have any questions about this particular section of the video, go ahead and leave a comment down below. And if you know anything about, getting wheel stop on these types of small moons, I would love to hear from you. It drives me insane. It really does. It bothers me. It's almost one of those things that makes me just want to rage quit when I'm playing with Orbiter. And I love Orbiter, but little small things like that, it shouldn't be that way. I'll just keep my opinions to myself. If you have any thoughts, leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next part. Actually, Control S to save. Pause. Okay. Now I'm ending the video.